Have a good day. In this video, we will discuss Chapter 7. Qualitative Research Methods, by Lynn Westbrook. This chapter reviews the following elements: the underlying principles of naturalistic work, ethical concerns, data gathering techniques, data analysis tools and methods, developing grounded theory, ensuring analytic integrity, and the presentation of findings. Underlying principles of naturalistic work. In virtually every area of LIS research, from system design to user education evaluation, the series of factors that finally lead a user to an interaction with some part of an information system is increasingly complex. Naturalistic work seeks out all aspects of that complexity on the grounds that they are essential to understanding the behavior of which they are a part. Naturalism is a research paradigm. When defined as a research paradigm, rather than as a research method, naturalism is an approach that posits reality as holistic, based in the perceptions of individuals and communities, and continually changing. Theory formation requires an organic, continuous process designed to understand phenomena rather than to test hypotheses. The research goal centers on understanding, discovering, and explaining rather than on predicting or testing. Naturalism in LIS research. The naturalistic paradigm only recently has been accepted in the applied or professional schools. In LIS, qualitative research is usually most useful when the information interactions concerns are so new, so complex, or so unexplored that researchers are working to understand the cognitive, affective, and behavioral aspects of the phenomenon. If enough is known of an area to sustain a priori patterning, hypothesis formation, or even theory explication, then the positivist approach with its more quantitative methods might be used. Role of mixed or multi-method research. A mixed methods or multi-methods approach, in some cases, provides the necessary array of data. The mixed methods approach posits as a false dichotomy the absolute, forced choice of either qualitative or quantitative methods. Sometimes considered the third paradigm, the mixed method's deliberate recognition of a full spectrum of externally and internally realized phenomena speaks to, for example, usability testing in LIS. The four basic principles guide mixed method design, and these are: 1. Determine and adhere to the theoretical impetus underpinning the project. 2. Work to account for the impact of the method that is brought into the primary methodological thrust. 3. Drive the design decisions from the assumptions of the base method. 4. Employ only the essential data sets. Ethical concerns. This confidentiality is just as important for information seekers as it is for any other population. They have an absolute right to their privacy within the context of the study. People may reveal illegal or immoral behaviors, such as plagiarism, copyright infringement, or theft of library materials. They may reveal gaps or weaknesses in their knowledge, understanding, or appreciation of the fundamentals of information seeking. That revelation may imperil their status in the workplace or home. An ethical and trustworthiness issue arises regularly in life history work, and it is inherent in most face-to-face qualitative work, namely the balance point between supporting participant revelation and shaping that revelation. In some cases, participants want to feel that they are being understood and that what they say holds special meaning for the researcher. Contrasting consequential ethics and non-consequential ethics provides a framework for many LIS decisions in the field. Consequential ethics argue that the results of an act determine its ethical value. That is, good consequences outweighing harmful consequences are the hallmark of an ethical act. Non-consequential ethics argue that consequences are not the determinant of ethical actions but rather principles or rules. Confidentiality will not be broken. Data gathering techniques. The act of gathering data for a qualitative study is an evolving process rooted in ongoing analysis. It involves more than obtaining discrete units of information. Simply holding a preset number of interviews. The sample is used to gather data which immediately undergo initial analysis. There is always the possibility that something will be learned which changes the study parameters. In LIS research, the following methods may be most useful. Maximum variety sampling. This method seeks as heterogeneous a sample as possible and is useful when seeking to identify patterns and commonalities that exist across, otherwise divergent individuals. Extreme case sampling. This method selects participants who appear to exemplify characteristics of interest, in order to clarify the critical issues in an area. Intensity sampling. This technique identifies participants who have a great deal of experience rather than an extreme experience with a phenomenon. Snowball sampling. This method identifies participants who are linked through shared experiences, perspectives, or other factors. Observation. Observation is a broad category of data gathering in which the naturalistic researcher must choose a point of balance between observing and participating. Carefully documented watching and/or listening may be augmented with judicious interviewing and the collection of artifacts. Interviews. In all their variety, interviews are a valuable qualitative method for researchers who make effective choices along the continuum between structured and unstructured interviews. The structured interview is the mode of choice when the interviewer knows what he or she does not know, and can therefore frame appropriate questions to find it out, while the unstructured interview is the mode of choice, when the interviewer does not know what he or she doesn't know, and must therefore rely on the respondent to tell him or her. Documents, questionnaires, diaries, journals, papers, and more. Finally, the written word can be a source of narrative or qualitative data. Materials written by participants diverge in their format, content, and impetus. Since these data sources are well documented elsewhere, this section provides only a general overview. Questionnaires vary by means of delivery, in person, telephone, mail, email, www, and point of contact, and format open-ended questions, attitudinal scales, multiple choice questions, ratings, and rankings. This is perhaps the most thoroughly studied form of data gathering. Each means of delivery has its advantages and disadvantages. An in-person questionnaire allows the researcher to clear up any obvious misunderstandings on the spot, but it is time-consuming. Data analysis tools and methods. Discourse analysis is developed by Michel Foucault. Discourse analysis has the capacity to track historically the origins of and challenges to mainstream ideas and to illustrate marginalized ideas, through an open, conceptualized process of discovery that centers on analysis of power dynamics. Content analysis basics. One of the most commonly used data analysis techniques of qualitative research, content analysis uses a set of procedures to make valid inferences from text. These inferences are about the sender of the message itself, or the audience of the message. Content analysis terms. Before exploring the techniques of content analysis, it is necessary to review a few of the basic terms relating directly to coding. 1. A datum. 2. Categories. 3. Themes. The constant comparative method of content analysis. The constant comparative method, codified by Glaser and Strauss, is generally recognized as one of the most effective means of qualitative content analysis. It involves joint coding and analysis during the continual review of data to gradually form categories. Originally, the constant comparative method was described in 4 stages. 1. Comparing incidents applicable to each category. 2. Integrating categories and their properties. 3. Delimiting the theory. And 4. Writing the theory. Among the many advantages of coding, are that it both follows upon and leads to generative questions, fractures the data, thus freeing the researcher from description and forcing interpretation to higher levels of abstraction, is the pivotal operation for moving toward the discovery of a core category or categories, and so moves toward ultimate integration of the entire analysis, and yields the desired conceptual density. Grounded theory work values the process of continuously developing, refining, and enhancing theory in recognition of the contributions that other studies, perspectives, and minds can make to the original effort. The explanations of these theories are grounded in the details, evidence, and examples of the data. Ensuring integrity. Ensuring integrity is no more difficult for naturalistic work than it is for positivist work, but again, the means differ. Field studies can be models of rigor, requiring the researcher to develop and apply systematic mechanisms for documenting all aspects of the research process. Additional techniques. In addition to the standard techniques, Miles and Huberman listed 12 tactics for confirming meanings, avoiding bias, and assuring the quality of conclusions, namely, counting, noting patterns or themes, seeing plausibility, clustering, making metaphors, splitting variables, subsuming particulars into the general, factoring, noting relations between variables, finding intervening variables, building a logical chain of evidence, and making conceptual or theoretical coherence. There are 5 points specific to the presentation of qualitative research findings that bear mention. First, in almost any forum it may be necessary to explain the concepts behind naturalistic methods. Second, qualitative research requires great detail and explication of both data gathering and data analysis, as does sound quantitative research, with care taken to recognize that the quality controls must be adjusted to context. Third, one ethic of particular value to qualitative research requires the researcher to make some return to the community. Fourth, in almost every case, researchers must make active, careful decisions about giving voice to the participants. Finally, if research is simply to help us understand the world, then the act of scholars publishing solely for other scholars in the same field makes a modest contribution to that goal. LIS scholars lead the information community's development of information systems and services for users. They must maintain a solid grounding in the purpose behind their work. Understanding what users encounter as they move through the complex, multi-dimensional, and dynamic experience of information interactions provides that solid grounding. Qualitative research methods enrich and augment the toolbox of LIS research approaches. That's all. Thank you and God bless.